Ah.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm India's mum. Oh, India. Hello.
You do realise you were being recorded saying that?
Sorry. I'll stop now. I'll put myself on.
A bit magical, isn't it? Suddenly these names and faces appear on the screen. You don't know who's waiting in the wings. Yeah. Hi, Roscoe. Brilliant. I know we had about 80 people signed up, but I think the sort of rule of thumb seems to be about half the people who sign up actually turn up. So yeah. We won't wait for 80. Since we might be here all night. Maybe another minute or two. I'm sure people are still arriving. Excellent. Okay, well, maybe we should make a start. And of course, the advantage of this way of people come late, they can just sneak in without sort of disturbing anybody. It's not like coming into the back of the hall. So welcome everybody to this presentation this evening, Refugees Home and Abroad. My name is Linda and I'm one of the management committee of Bath Welcomes Refugees, and I'm going to sort of more or less chair the evening, but I'm not going to be doing very much talking because we have some fantastic speakers who are going to tell us about the work that they're doing. It's great to have this like truly international meeting. It's the joy of the technology, isn't it? You will probably have seen as you joined that the session's being recorded, and the idea is to perhaps pop a sort of link on YouTube afterwards. So hopefully you're all okay with that. If you don't want to be seen on YouTube, then please obviously just turn your cameras off, and obviously you'll be on sort of mute as well, I think, because we don't want kind of barking dogs and things interrupting the evening. So tonight, the topic is, I think, incredibly pertinent at the moment. While there's so much focus on the awful situation in Afghanistan, and the sort of the mass evacuation is obviously sort of draws people's attention. But of course, it's horribly easy to forget all those people who are coming through incredibly dangerous and difficult routes to get away from danger and persecution and whatever, to try and come to safety. So absolutely fantastic that we've got this opportunity tonight to think a little bit more broadly about the refugee situation and the journey that people are forced to take. So just very briefly, the outline of the evening is we're hoping to have about 15 minutes at the end for questions. So if you just pop them in the chat as the session goes on, and we'll sort of pick up on them at the end. We're going to start with Charlotte, who's a trustee from BWR, who'll tell you a bit about BWR's work, Bath Welcomes Refugees. Indy, who has a foot in both camps, both BWR and No Name Kitchen. So she'll sort of tell you a bit about her work on both sides. And then from No Name Kitchen, we'll have Bruno, followed by Valentina, followed by Marina, and then back to Indy and Gracie, who I think are going to talk more about the kind of work on the ground. And then we'll have the questions at the end. So I think I'll just hand over to Charlotte. They're just going to follow one run from the other. So from now on, I'll be quiet until it's time for the questions. So Charlotte, if you'd like to talk to us. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's great to see so many faces here, so much interest in this talk. So as Linda said, my name is Charlotte. I'm one of the trustees at Bath Welcomes Refugees, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we're doing here in the UK, well, more specifically in Bath and the local area, before we hear from our other speakers who are going to talk more about what they're doing abroad. So for those who don't know, Bath Welcomes Refugees was founded in 2015, and it was really a local response to the war in Syria. So much like the situation with Afghanistan happening right now, it was kind of just ordinary people watching the news, watching the awful events that were happening in Calais and beyond at the time, and having this urge to do something. So it started off as just a meeting of a handful of people in a pub, and from that the momentum grew into Bath Welcomes Refugees, which is this organisation that really harnesses the goodwill of the community. And our mission is to welcome people fleeing persecution who are seeking safety in the UK, and to support them to resettle in Bath and the surrounding area. And so from these quite informal beginnings, Bath Welcomes Refugees became a registered charity in 2017. But we're still very much reliant on our volunteers, our members, our supporters for their kind of enthusiasm and motivation and energy. So we have no like affiliations with religious or political groups, and all of our trustees and the management team and many helpers are all volunteers. Although we have recently just appointed our first part-time paid coordinator to help support those volunteers. But really everything that we do is thanks to our volunteers and our donors. And Bath Welcomes Refugees does a lot. So before a refugee family arrives, we work to find them housing, and then we furnish that house, we equip it, and we provide the family the essentials that they'll need for a new life here, you know, things like clothes and toys and books and computers. So the refugee families who are resettled arrive with almost nothing of their own, and a computer might seem like a luxury, but it's actually a really kind of vital tool for language learning, which is of course really at the heart of successful resettlement. And before the family arrives, we will stock the kitchen with food, and often there's a hot meal prepared for them by one of the refugee families who are already settled in the area as a kind of a way to welcome them after a very long and tiring journey. And we provide a range of support depending very much on the needs of the family. So what we do is tailored to the individual situations, and it can start very intensively. And then over time, we aim to kind of step back a little bit as the family gains familiarity with the local area and gains a bit more kind of independence, I guess. So what we can do with some families is provide a team of resettlement volunteers who will really help the family get to know the local area and the facilities, take them to GP appointments, to the job centre, and just really be kind of friendly and supportive faces for them. And then as well as that, we have volunteers who help with gardening or with DIY, with benefits advice. And we also support people to access job training, to try and get into employment. And we run a monthly social group, which has unfortunately been suspended due to COVID. But we do try and organise social events as well to offer that kind of friendship and support, and so that people don't feel kind of isolated, I guess. And a really important part of helping people settle here and feel at home is, of course, the English language support. And we have a large team of qualified and experienced volunteer language teachers. And so every family member is matched to an individual teacher. So they get one-on-one tuition, but we also offer group lessons at 4 different levels, and we help people access classes run by other organisations. And a lot of the people that we support have come through the government's official resettlement scheme, but not all of them. And so with that the government funded scheme, we work in partnership with Julian House. For those who are in Bath, you might recognise that name. But we also have a couple of families and individuals that we support separately as well. And at the moment, it's about just over 100 people that we support, both individuals and families. And a lot of these are people who fled the war in Syria. but we do also support a number of asylum seekers too, and people from other countries. And this year we took the exciting step of becoming a community sponsorship group and taking full responsibility for welcoming and resettling a family. And so this is a really major project for us, and something that the organisation has aspired to since we were founded, really. And essentially it means that we, Bath Welcomes Refugees, had to fundraise for the entire cost of resettling a family, which is well over £9,000. And we are responsible for meeting the resettlement milestones set by the Home Office. So we have a contract with the Home Office. But it means that we have effectively created new resettlement places, because the refugees that come through the community sponsorship are not counted in the government's refugee quota. So this means like more people who have the opportunity to kind of rebuild their lives in this country. And we are about to start fundraising to be able to welcome another family through community sponsorship at some point. But sadly, we do know that most refugees in the world don't benefit from resettlement. It's less than 1% actually of refugees worldwide who ever get offered resettlement. So we also have a part of what we do that we call Beyond Bath, that monitors the sort of bigger refugee picture and organises donations and volunteers to go to places like Calais or Serbia or other places. And so Indy, who's on the call with us tonight, is our lead for Beyond Bath, so that's kind of the reason why we're able to organise this talk this evening, and we'll hear more about what our partner organisations are doing in a minute. But we do think it's really important to raise that awareness of the plight of refugees elsewhere, and we support campaigns of other organisations to kind of improve the refugee situation, nationally and abroad. So to keep doing what we do, we rely on donations and funds raised through events and sales, jumble sales, and community support. And the pandemic has been quite hard on our funds, as it has for many charitable organisations, because we haven't been able to organise those fundraising events that we normally would and that do bring in most of our income. But having said that, there is amazing solidarity and generosity in the local area, and we're really seeing that at the moment with a lot of offers of help coming in linked to the Afghanistan crisis. So that's obviously on everybody's minds right now, and Bath Welcomes Refugees, we will be playing a part in resettling Afghan refugees. We already support one Afghan family, and so that will make it easier for us to welcome others. And the details are still being worked out with the local authority, but we are expecting 2 to 4 Afghan families to arrive in September, probably. So as soon as Baines have details of the families who are coming to Bath, they will let us know, and we will start furnishing and equipping their new homes and stocking the kitchen cupboards to make them feel welcome. So we will be asking for donations of things like furniture, good condition, soft furnishings, things like curtains, household items, food, toiletries, cleaning products, all that sort of thing. And there may also be some need for befriending support and English classes, but we don't really know until the families arrive what their specific needs will be. But we will put out a call to our membership when we need more volunteers. So if you're not already signed up, please do sign up as a member, and you can do this either through our website, or you can write to membership@bathwelcomesrefugees.org.uk. or follow us on social media. So probably the last point I want to leave you with before handing over to Indy is that the Afghanistan situation is obviously really quite heart-wrenching to watch, and it's on everybody's mind right now, but it's important that we don't forget the needs of refugees from other countries. So places like Syria, Iran, Iraq, Sudan, Eritrea, war and human rights abuses in those places have not gone away, and people fleeing persecution in those countries have the right to seek protection in the UK too, and you know, need support and protection here. So yeah, on that final point, I would like to hand over now to Indy to hear about what she's doing with No Name Kitchen. Thanks very much.
Hi everyone, I'm India. I started volunteering with Bath Welcomes Refugees, who are amazing, as you've just heard. At the end of last year, I came to them as an English teacher, and I later took on the role of sort of the lead for the Beyond Bath that Charlotte mentioned. So this means that I'm researching other organizations and other matters that are affecting people on the move, refugees, asylum seekers, locally, nationally, and also internationally, to kind of allow members to stay really informed about these issues all around the world, and just ensuring that everyone is aware of the bigger picture and the work going on with other campaigns and organizations. And then so this summer, I decided to go to Serbia, and I've now also been volunteering with No Name Kitchen I've been here for 2 months as the communications focal point. So I wanted to take the opportunity to combine both of these roles as Beyond Bath lead and communications in order to try and share information between these two incredible organizations and explain a bit about what No Name Kitchen does to support people on the move. So with that, I will just introduce you to Bruno, who is one of the founders of No Name Kitchen, who can now explain what No Name Kitchen is all about.
Hello, thanks for the introduction, and thanks everyone for being here, for setting up this event, you know, to give voices to the organization and to the reality that is happening around. So first of all, thanks a lot, because we are in big need of this. And actually, when I see all this amount of people as well, someone gets like, you know, some special energy that I really like it and appreciate. So yeah, I will try to be brief. Not brief, but go in the history of the No Name Kitchen and trying to guide you or to follow you or show you, you know, the how we started and where we are now, why we are doing what we are doing, you know. It's a really interesting story, and I will try to make it like interesting for all of you, because it's what it is, you know. So everything started in 2017, in December 2016. That I went with 3 friends to Athens to volunteer there in different projects that are in Athens, different organizations as an independent volunteer, we were called at that time. So you are not really in any organization, but you are seeing the realities, and then you get involved with whatever you think is the best place, no, where you fit. And while we were there were so many things happening, so many projects, so many volunteers, and we got information from Belgrade. Some people came to Belgrade in January 2017, and they were telling us crazy stories. They were saying that there is a place there in the city center of Belgrade that if you arrive as a tourist, you live 5 minutes walking and you will arrive to a place that is just with close to 1,000 people. I will say 40% of them minors under 16 years old. It was a cold wave with, I'm talking temperatures of -10, -12 degrees. We couldn't believe it, you know. So I would like to share my screen. So what I'm saying this, I can show you some videos of how it was the situation when we arrived, you know, to this Belgrade thing. So I'm showing it right now, and I'm supposed to be, yeah, something like that. So let me just why it's not showing. It should be okay. Let me remove the. Are you listening any audio from the video? I guess no. There is no audio coming from the video, so that's okay. So yeah, you can hear me, yeah? You can listen to me. Can you hear me? That's fine. So yeah, we came to this place, you know, it was like that, and they were telling us, oh, you should come here and see the situation and maybe do something in this place. So we came. It was 6 of us with a rented van. And we went there to Belgrade to see the situation and trying to get more videos and show to the people the reality. And we couldn't believe it, really, when we arrived. We went with 160 jackets, I absolutely remember, and we were pretending that we were students, because coming into Belgrade, crossing the border into all the way into Serbia, if you are bringing humanitarian aid, they won't allow you to cross. They stop doing the things. Even right now, it's happening to us. If you're coming with humanitarian aid, a van full of things that you want to give to people, they won't allow you to cross the border. It's not European Unions, different restrictions, different things. When we came to this place, that it was 1,000 people, there was a letter from the government, open letter, saying very clear that this place was illegal, and nobody of the big NGOs were able to be there. Like, it's not a place for anyone. So the Red Cross, all the big ones, they were not supposed to be there. MSF, they set up a tent to put there some emergency cases, but nobody was allowed to be doing anything. So we arrived, the 6 of us, with the jackets, with one van for 1 week, and we couldn't believe it. We were cleaning few things. We got some money from another organization to support us, because from the 6, 2 were part of Holes in the Borders, from the organization. And we were doing there what we could with masks. They were burning the sleepers of the railway. This is full of creosote, full of toxic. You put a light on that and it goes on fire. It's a crazy thing. It is too much. We couldn't even breathe. So we were cleaning, trying to do something, and that's it. And then in that place, it was an organization called Hot Food Idomeni that they were allowed, even if it was forbidden for the big ones, the place needed some food, so they were allowed to come with a catering company and come with the catering company and do distribution of food. I would like to show you how it was that line at the beginning, because as well it says quite a lot of the place. So there was the line for the food, and I mean, it's too much. And when we were talking with the guys, it was not about clothes. They say, we need at night another meal. We cannot stay just with it. People was coming, bringing the thing and going away. So suddenly we decide, okay, so if you need food, let's cook. Why are we gonna cook together? It's some volunteers, we have some resources, some people at the beginning to make a meal, a hot meal. You just need 3 pots, 3 gas butters, 3 gas rinse, some soup. And with almost no money, we can give 400, 500 portions. Why not? We decide to do, and we have, in my case, a really close friends that he was a chef in Athens, and we asked him, hey, brother, will you come here to cook for 500, 600 people? And he said, yes. So he told us what to buy, and we bought it. And he came, and everything started, let's say, from almost one day to another one. And when everything started, you can imagine, you start a project of something in somewhere from one day almost to another one, and you're starting to make a kitchen in a place for 500 people, and it's like an intense thing. So all the volunteers, we were gathering in one house. We were living in a first floor, going to the supermarket every morning and going to the first floor, chop some vegetables, and then go to this barracks place. The kitchen in this place that you can see there, it was the barracks. We cleaned the spot and we made the kitchen with everybody. We were making turns of people to be in the line. To control a line of 400 people at night goes crazy. People want to squeeze inside, put another one, trying to be equal. All the cookers, everybody wants to be a chef, and we want to protect. Everybody gets, on top of each other. I mean, so intense. But what happened? Many media was on the place and was for the TV perfect. Snow, cold, crazy things happening. It was perfect. So in that sense, many people started to come, and at one point we were the only ones because we were the ones. It was a generator, a light, all the time for 2 hours, half 3 hours we were all there. And suddenly, from time to time, this place, there was barracks, many volunteers started to come from so many places, different places start close by. This 8th Brigade, collective aid right now, that is the 8th Brigade at the beginning as well started in that area, mainly international people gathering in one area and having assemblies of 25, 30 people, with people from Afghanistan. I'm saying from Afghanistan because 98% of these was people from Afghanistan. It was like 2, 3 Pakistanians, everybody was Afghani. So I'm talking about 4.5 years. Dancing at all kind of. So we were moving, and this was the first video. You could see that it's not really well done, but you can imagine we were no one, nothing to do, and we have to set up something, you know, to identify, so people could identify who we were. Why we are not in kitchen, that I didn't say, and I think it's interesting. This chef that I told you that was coming with the 500 meals, very easy to be done, is a proper chef. You know, we used to work for 5-star hotels, amazing chef, but a really anarchist one with the graffiti all the time, you know, and the first day cooking and who we are, and we are anonymous, who we are, and he just got the graffiti. We have no name, okay, he put no name kitchen, you know. So then it put it on the wall, and we use it for the logo as well, as you can see, that the same script that we used, you know, at the very beginning. And the logo says quite a lot. If you see it in here, the logo is not our actual logo. This logo is somehow changes, the feast changed it, but anyway, you swap it. Then when we were with time, we said, hey, we are more powerful if we put the fish in the other position, you know. And then with time to time, the first video we did it in the first 3 weeks. After 2.5 months, you know, we said one of the volunteers who came knew how to make videos, so we made a better video. Now you see we are chopping. We are not chopping at home. We rented a little garage where we were chopping in the garage, and people from the barracks were coming with us to the garage, you know, and we were all doing the vegetables there and then bringing this to the place. Then in this place, what you are seeing there is extremely important. These generators were providing electricity with so many plugs, so people were able to charge the phone, to talk with the family. You are seeing there a dictionary that as well I can share with you. A dictionary which was made there with all the people. You know, this first one was in Pasto to communicate with each other. I mean, different kind of activities were happening in these barracks. Even a garden with time to time, things were cleaning, toilets were coming, a mass was on the place, and the thing started to move forward, and things were getting in a nice thing. And now is when everything, I will say, suddenly things change from when we are all everybody happy and we were thinking this is the best camp, you know. We were in the city center. If people wanted to leave the place, you walk 5 minutes, you are in Unasana River. It was a nice place, I mean, at the end. And then, boom, they decide that this is the time to finish. They come with everything. The first thing they do, they destroy the kitchen. They send 1,000 people to different camps, separating people from each other, people getting in buses, and this was like, okay, this is the end, you know, that's it. We did it what we could until the last day. People is leaving, c'est fini, that's it, whatever. What happened? Yeah, people is leaving, c'est fini. We made so many friends. We were living together, so many of us for so long. And our friends telling us, yes, we are leaving, brother, we're going, and many of them were going to sit. When we were in Belgrade, our head was Belgrade. You know, the situation is Belgrade. They say, we go to sit. Okay, sit, what's happening? Hey, come here, factory, good place, come here, kitchen here. I say, okay, kitchen here, what's happening? We went to sit, you know? And then when we arrived there, a factory with 200 people, more or less the same thing. And we say, okay, we need to be here. And then in sit is when we start to see something that changes and says a lot about who we are now. It is people that starts to say, hey, we are going to the game. It's a concept that all of us who are there in the field, you listen it every day. The game. That's crossing the borders. That's what they call to cross the border. I'm going on the game from Serbia, from Bosnia. It means I will cross the border, get into Croatia, Slovenia, Italy, try to find a safe path to get into Europe. Why? There is no safe passages. People is trapped in Serbia and Bosnia for 2 years, 3 years, or you leave the country legally, or you have no way of leaving the country. So people is forced to risk their lives. And when they cross the border and they get into Croatia, we can get in details what's happening in Croatia, how the people is pushed back in Croatia, 35, 45 times, beating people, stealing money, breaking phones, and it's happening from day to day. So when we go to Serbia, we will go to Belgrade, we move to sit, and we start to see this. We are forced to document all of that. When the people is coming back, our friends, hey brother, look what happened, police here. And we start to see people going on the game, people being coming pushed back, people being beaten, people being robbed. Oh, what's going on here? And then is when we start to have to denounce all of these situations, okay? So from here, more or less, we can picture a little bit the thing. Then what we are doing now in SID since we made in May 2017. May 2017 until today, working every single day since 1 year and a half, resting on Sundays, taking care of ourselves, but not stop. You know, from then we replicate our missions in Bosnia. At the beginning, when we were in Serbia, people was not moving through Bosnia. Then Bosnia started to happen. Many people, many things happening in Bosnia. We moved a team to Bihać, to Velika Kladuša. We are in Patras as well, another port with many people living, 150, 200 people, to get in the port, to get in the ferries, to go to Italy. It's another game, they jump the fence, always coming back. All the places, in Ceuta, 2 little crazy cities that we have in Spain, in the north of Morocco. They are not Spain, they are Morocco, they are Africa. Ceuta, Melilla. We are in Ceuta, very close with Melilla, same thing. That she was telling about communication, we can go into this late hour, each focal point in each of the bases. Right now, always between 30 and 35 people in the field. And then we have a project in Montenegro, a very nice project, different thing that we don't have volunteers on the field. We don't have our base, we don't have our car, but there is a brother from us that is in asylum processing there, and we have another project that is happening there. And to be able to connect with the people, what we are doing, of course, how do we do this? Food all the time. How do we get food? We buy food on the field. We cannot send food. Sending food is complicated. Different is buying food, lots of food. How do we connect from the people? Non-food items, lots of tents, blankets, sleeping bags. You cannot imagine every time someone goes on the game, they go with a sleeping bag. They get pushbacks, they kick out the shit out of them. No sleeping bags, no nothing. We are giving 8, 9, 10 sleeping bags to the same people. This amount of things, it's crazy. You don't know. We are sending containers, trailers to Bosnia. We are trying to Serbia, trying to do things like that. We never have, resources. We are tired of saying to the people, no, we don't have, no, sorry, brate, sorry, brate, sorry, brate. We have what we have, sorry, brate. I mean, the necessities are extremely incredible. I don't want to go into details about what we are spending or what we are not, it's not needed, but the necessities are incredible. So just to finish, you know, and just to put the whole thing on that, I will just try to show one little picture that I have here that it's supposed to be very simple to find, that it says map, that it is just like the places, you know, Sid, Velika, Bihać, Podgorica, Patras, Ceuta. In each of these places, as I said, we're not with Podgorica, it's where all the people is working, is operating. The violent thing, you know, what is happening, it is so important for us to denounce. Somebody cannot say in 3-4 years' time, we didn't know about it. Or no, you knew about it. At least the things are being right, you know, as the violence, at this thing that we've been recording since the very beginning, we co-founded a border violence monitoring network thing. The border violence monitoring network thing, it is a network that we are with German organizations, we are with organizations from Slovenia, and organizations from Croatia. You know, there is set up a structure of international solidarity all around, you know, and in this border violence monitoring network, there is something called the Black Book of Pushbacks, a document with 1,000 pushbacks that it was shown in the European Parliament. You know, Euro members of the European Parliament were coming, those quick visits, just random visits, very quick, not enough, but they come, they show, they tell. And these things are being told by us. If we are not there, if normal people, normal volunteers, people who engage with the people from this information is not being told. In the official camps, people arrive to the official camps beaten. People arrive to the official camps and there is no spaces of confidence in these places that the people that is suffering can't say. And those places with big organizations are not denouncing this thing. And it's been in silence for long. And we need to be in the field, people like us, to say and to denounce, otherwise people won't know. And it's very important that you are here, you're listening to this, and you know about this violence that is happening for years in the borders. And you can tell to the people, this is happening. Croatian police, people that we are paying with our money, Frontex. If we go and we see what is Frontex, we can be talking here 2 hours about Frontex, the amount of money that is coming. It's just crazy. But how this is happening with all the amount of people, with all the amount of solidarity, all the amount of volunteers, doing, we are 35 in the field now. In 3 months, these 35 people leave. People like Indy, the other people, they go, they said, people come, people leave, we connect. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We are all more connected, sharing the same struggle, saying the solidarity. We are more cities saying welcome to the people. So getting connected, all these things are extremely important. And I don't want to say nothing else, but thanks for giving me the space to share all these comments. And maybe normally I have like a line that I want to follow, and then suddenly I get into different things, but I guess that you are understanding what's going on. And then I'm more than happy to give the space to Valentina, that as well as she has some time, maybe she wants to say something about how we are organized, or now if it's not needed, but how many we are, what we are doing. But mainly Valentina, she's in charge of Serbia, let's say, she's the country reference for Serbia. And as well, that's why she's really talking in here, as she's very well connected with SID, with Indy, and is the main person of human resources, the one who talks with all the volunteers. So she's very well connected with everyone. So thanks, Valentina, for being there. It's a pleasure for me to give the space for her. And thanks for everyone for listening and being here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you very much. Thank you to you. And as you said at the very beginning, thanks to Indy first and all the people organized this event. There is some public also here, as you can probably understood from before. But as Ricardo, sorry, I'm getting confused now. As I see a hand raised. I don't know if questions will come later, as we said, or yes, okay. So as Bruno said, I'm gonna focus a little bit more on Serbia, on the situation in Serbia. You will see the daily life, the daily work together with Indy and Gracie, that are going to give us a very first-hand experience, while I will give you like a more general picture about programs and let's say activities going on over there. I would like to start with a video that has been done just less than a month ago, if I remember well. So I have to share the screen first, of course, otherwise I will just be alone watching the video. So can you please confirm you can see my screen? If I do like this, do you see our website? Yes, very good. Okay, so we are launching our new website. So we invite you to also visit and have a look, because now it's a little bit clearer what we do, where we are, and so on. Also some maps that has been shared by Bruno before, they are also part of this new setting, let's say. So by the way, this is the donating page. Also, if you want to have a look, there are different campaigns going on all the time. I'm going to go to the one related to Serbia in this case, to show you this video. It's a 1-minute video, and it's like the first chapter of a trilogy. You will find the others on YouTube on our channel, which is named No Name Kitchen, with our logo. So it's very easy to, as you can see here, doesn't appear, here it is. So you can also follow. We used to upload videos on a regular basis related to the situation on the field. So I will just put my audio on, and I will put the video.
Imagine waking up every morning in a tent. You have slept very little. Your skin is alive with the bites of mosquitoes, and every part of your body aches from sleeping on the hard ground. The air is unbearably hot and humid inside of the tent, and trying to fall back asleep is impossible. Imagine realizing just how dry your throat is, but knowing before you can drink water, you must collect wood from the forest around you to build a fire. You must go to the well you dug several months ago, collect the water, and boil it on the fire so it is safe enough to drink. Imagine finally making it to safety, only to be illegally detained, beaten, stripped of your possessions, your rights, and your dignity, and brought back to where you started. This is not the first time this has happened, not for you, nor the people around you. You come from different places, but you are united by the dehumanizing treatment you experience. Imagine being trapped and stuck in this place for months or years, kept out from the sights of locals, able to choose just between a prison, the camps, or the forest. Spending your days waiting, thinking and wishing that this could be the day when you'll finally succeed the game and reach what you set out to find. People on the move don't have to imagine. It is their daily existence.
We are here in sheet, a small...
Okay, here is the chapter 2 that comes, let's say, automatically. I stop sharing because now my video should start again. So that was a very short video that a previous group of volunteers they were doing just to try to make the other people to empathize with the situation, because maybe we have you know, an idea about being stuck in the border, or we know that there are people migrating walking from East to Central Europe, but the images, let's say, that they give us a very clear idea about what does it mean to be, let's say, a person on the move, let's say, no? So the fact that you don't have water, you don't have shoes, you don't have food, you don't have shelter in a very cold place, for example, like Serbia, especially in winter, and very hot in summer. So it's like the worst place in terms of weather, probably, together with Bosnia. About the video, I just would like to focus a little bit on one word that the volunteer says, which is the person is illegally detained. Many times, maybe not here, but in some other conferences or meetings or workshops, people are asking about a doubt that they have, which is crossing the border is illegal, but you always emphasize the fact that they are illegally detained. So why there is a kind of, let's say, why there is this kind of attitude towards these two illegal things? So the reason is that, well, let's start from the beginning. The reason is that the illegal detention goes, sorry, my dogs. The legal detention, I mean, detaining a person that is true, passing a border in a not formal and legal way, it should go like completely in a second step, in a second level, when there is a higher need of a humanitarian protection. So there might be some consequences in terms of administrative, let's say, procedure that have been not respected, but that doesn't mean that a person has to be pushed back illegally and violently and so on. So the reason why we are here to defend the right to move, for example, it's because there are rights that are not respected, and this is according to the international law, is not according to non-kitchen code of conduct. This is like internationally accepted, that in front of a higher need of international protection, the fact that the people are traveling, let's say, without passing by the, let's say, the borders, is happening or not. This was the first point I wanted to see with you. Then I want to share my screen again to talk about what we do. So again, we go back to our website, and Bruno already mentioned something, but just to specify, this is what we do, both, of course, in Serbia and in all the other places that Bruno was mentioning before. In each place, of course, the programs are, let's say, tailored according to the local context and the local necessities. But this is the, let's say, the big framework where we stay. So the first component, it's health. The program, it's called Health on the Move, which is a mix of first aid, or let's say street medicine, as we call it. So let's say all the treatments that our volunteers with a medical background can do just with material that they can bring in a bag and do in the street. So of course, nothing specialized and nothing too much, let's say, deep. For these, for let's say more specialized medical care, there is this second component of this health program, which is supporting people on the move to access medical care. And we rely, of course, on the local services, dentists, gynecologists, dermatologists a lot, and hospital, clinics, private clinic, and so on. The challenge in Serbia is that most of the time people are very scared to get out of the jungle where they live. So in some places could be a little bit easier to, let's say, implement this component because I won't say people are free to move. Of course, there is always a concern about getting out, but in Serbia, it's specifically true, let's say. So, of course, when we manage, especially dentist care, we try to make it and to realize it, but sometimes it's very challenging. And the third component, as it's written here, is the distribution of hygiene kits. Because, of course, as you can imagine, especially access to clean water and, let's say, items to take care of your hygiene, it's very poor, unfortunately. Unfortunately, for example, as an organization, we have, let's say, a priority list agreed with the people on the move. And when you look at it, it's incredible because maybe we don't reach the budget, I don't know, to buy deodorant for everybody. And it's like the deodorant. I'm not talking about the electric toothbrush, you know, I'm talking about the deodorant. So like sometimes it's incredible, let's say, the way we have to reorganize priorities in such a situation. And of course, related to health, probably a mainstreamed issue we have both in Serbia and in all the other places, of course, scabies, unfortunately, because the hygiene conditions are incredibly poor. So unfortunately, we have these, and sometimes in everywhere we try to clean the spaces. So we try, for example, to take all the blankets, to bring them to the laundry service. We do laundry service in our home, in our home, to try to, let's say, to kill the scabies all around. Then the other component that Bruno was already explaining very well, it's food and clothes. So food and non-food items, let's say, no? So we distribute food and we distribute all the universe around clothes, which are, as he said, blankets, sleeping bags, and shoes, and any kind of let's say item that could be useful when you leave, let's say, outdoor and you're traveling somehow, no? Probably in food, the thing that could be interesting to see, it's the voucher program. You can also see some information more in our YouTube channel. The voucher program, it's a system that has been put in place in order to give the people the possibility to directly buy food thanks to a voucher that we organize with a team, an incredible team of volunteers from abroad. And basically people are, let's say, are free to buy whatever they want. We just have some, let's say, limitations. They can't buy, for example, tobacco or alcohol with these vouchers, but for the rest, they can play whatever they want, let's say, and to be really, you know, more independent in terms of what I want to buy and what I want to eat, for example. And then let's say the soul of our movement, it's definitely advocacy to stop the violence. We do believe that these two first components, health and food and clothes, wouldn't be so effective, let's say, or we wouldn't feel like okay to assist the people if we weren't so active in advocating for the asking to stop the violence. So we collect, and this is like an incredible work that it's done by so many pieces that Bruno was trying to explain before. We are part of a network. There are other organizations doing this. We put our efforts together and we try to advocate, making our voice stronger because we are more and we are together. So of course it starts from the let's say the collection of these testimonies that it's done by people, by our volunteers on the field. And then there is like a long process where these testimonies are, let's say, compared, used in a let's say, advocating manner. Okay, that's the problem. On the food, I want to say, of course, I don't want to enter in how much we spend for what, for what, but just to give you a very a tiny example. Nonen Kitchen spends on food, only on food, between 10,000 and 12,000 euros every single month. And you can ask later our friends on the field, Gracie and Indy. There is always like an input from the field to increase this budget, because there are more needs, there are more people, there are more places to visit, there are dramatic needs. But on the other side, we have to, stay within the budget. But just for you to understand the incredible amount, because that's the challenge we have. So we go on where. So I created here a very simple map on maps. So we are based here in Sheet, in Serbia, I'm talking about, and it's in between the border from Croatia and Serbia, and that's where we are based. Of course, there are people on the move, living all around the city, mainly in the older train station and in jungle. Sometimes we have people occupying unfinished building, but it's not so common, like for example in Bosnia-Herzegovina, where we also are. But the incredible work that Nonen Kitchen is doing in these places, that we are the only one, especially in Sheet, for example. There is nobody else. So the number of people can, let's say, move between 150 and 300 people. I'm talking about people living outside the camp, because as for our mandate, we target mainly people living outside the camps, because they have less access to basic services. It's much harder to work out of the camps because you don't have the protection of any authority, and that's another point I'm going to show you later. But that's where the real needs are, because people are completely let's say vulnerable. So the incredible job is for Nonen Kitchen to continue to be there 24/7, 12 months per year, because people have to somehow needs. People have needs throughout all the years, right? But then starting from last year, we also started to visit other places, let's say, because of course we are not the only organization in Serbia. We have our friends we have other friends organizations, not so many, but we are maybe 3 or 4, I would say. So we try to also let's say, to cooperate among each other. But where we are and where we decide to go, it's because nobody else is going. So we are in Sheet, it's in Loznica, which is another location that we visit on a regular basis. We are in Toba, where there is a Romani family made by, it's very complicated to understand. Every time we talk with them, it's like new members coming. But the incredible thing is the amount of minors over there, and babies as well. And the family is in an incredible, vulnerable situation. We sometimes go to Sombor, but and where we also, of course, support the people on the move. And we are thinking about making an assessment to Maidan, which is Maidan, which is, let me show you here at the border with Romania. And here it's an interesting place, unfortunately vulnerable place, that we want to visit, because it looks like somehow the game, as Bruno was mentioning before, the game was mainly going through Bosnia or Croatia, and now it looks like it's going back up to the north in Romania. So there is, let's say, there are movements all around here. So we want to see and make sure that we can, for example, do something about this. Yes, I go back. I stop sharing. The other thing I wanted to say is that apart from the challenge of course, visiting and supporting places that are all scattered around, why it's important to be there from one side, of course, to support and to provide people that are in need of the most basic things, and on the other side, to denounce. So many times Nonen Kitchen is the only actor that can give voice to things that are happening locally, that without Nonen Kitchen nobody would know. people that unfortunately are dying, people that are disappearing, eviction from camps happening out of the blue without any kind of reason behind, or at least the one that they give us, it's like completely no sense. So we are there, we are like a watchdog, and it's super important to continue to be there, because otherwise there would be like a spot within the Balkan route that wouldn't be seen or known by anybody, because the incredible work of our teams on the field is to be there and to be the eyes that will broadcast all the information and all the illegalities, unfortunately, that are happening. All of these, I want to say that I don't know if it's the biggest, maybe we have to ask to our friends on the field, but at least one of the biggest challenge that we have, it's sometimes the dynamics that are ongoing with the local community and with the authorities. First of all, I want to say that it's not always like this. We have lots of friends. We are actually we are registered in Serbia, so we have people that are completely on our side and they support the cause 100%. We have Serbian guys that they come to distribute with us, and they are getting problems with the police as well. They are in illegal procedures. They have been brought to the court because of being part of Non in Kitchen. So there is lots of people that are actually on our side somehow, but it's also true that within the local community there are at least two extremist group from the right side that are making our life a little bit more challenging, that it's already considering the situation over there. And of course, the police doesn't really help. So there is a constant undermining attempt from the, let's say, from the authorities towards our work. And of course, we got equipped with the experience. So, for example, right now we have a lawyer that is following up every single time on our teams. So, for example, now that we go in the north, we are constantly in contact with her. We are organizing our trip with her because we know that might be a tricky situation where police will be watching us. Of course, everybody knows Non in Kitchen and our organization over there. So of course it's this, let's say, challenge and these complications with the police, even if effectively they do not have a real impact, because they are the first that they know that actually they can do anything, because we are an organization registered in the country with a clear mandate that it's supporting our activity. So there is nothing that they can legally do against the organization. So sometimes they try to target volunteers instead. So there are individuals, let's say, paying more directly. I don't know, from a very, very silly example, like a person that has been stopped by the police and got a fine because the light of the bicycle wasn't okay. And of course, the policeman knew that it was a Non in Kitchen volunteer, to a more extreme examples where people are receiving expulsion letter, and in theory they have to leave the country, but as I said before, the lawyer is like protecting us, and actually nobody leaves, but they are, as I said, trying to target individuals instead of the organization, because they know that the system doesn't allow them to target directly the organization. To this, I'm gonna pass the word, let's say the microphone, I don't know, say the floor to Marina. But before this, I would like to share with you a very, very, very little, the testimony is longer, and if you're interested, I can also share it with you. But there is this volunteer that decided to share her experience about her intercourse with the police. And we take it as an example for everybody to come to the field, also to understand that this is part of the let's say of the game. No, you come, you support, you are here for the cause. There is also this component. So let me share the screen again for the last time. And let's go where it is. So final version here, I guess. Yes. So Marina, it's I don't know if it's this part.
Yeah,
Well,
I can.
until here. Okay. Sorry.
All right, now I can't read it. Okay, there we go. Mr. Setkovic continued shouting at us. He came in front of our faces and screamed, "Shut up, and you are going to jail, jail, jail," shouting very loud. He started shouting as well, "Empty your pockets, empty your pockets." Milica told us before that these actions were illegal, but we were scared. He kept shouting at us while emptying our pockets. I had gloves, a hat from my boyfriend, and a mask. Lucas started to do the same and left the things on the front part of our van. He had his tobacco, driving license, and a lighter. After pulling all of his things out of his pockets, Mr. Svetkovic started searching every part of his body. I kept crying and I stayed next to the nice officer in silence without my phone and my passport. Meanwhile, Mr. Svetkovic told Lucas to open the van for him to start searching everywhere. I repeat that without a warrant. According to Milica, it is illegal to search us or the van.
Thank you. So with this, I guess I give you the best input, Marina, to continue. So thank you very much, and I will be happy to answer to your questions, if any, later.
Thank you. Just before you start, Marina, I'm just very aware of the time. I mean, it's such incredible information, stories that, you know, everybody will be completely glued to it. But just to sort of notice that it was a bit ambitious to think we'd finish in an hour. I'm sure that people are, you know, very keen to continue and hear everything that you've got to say. So we might not have so much time for questions, but please do carry on. Thank you.
Thank you both to Valentina and to Linda, and for everybody for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to us and to our stories. Yeah, I think the testimony that I just read very clearly describes how difficult and challenging some of the situations can be that we face as volunteers. I've had my fair share of experiences like that, either with police, with local fascist groups. The communication within the teams is not always super easy. You have your personal challenges. You have very, very long days trying to get everything done, between distributions, between work that you have to do around the house, between focusing on other things, such as writing down the reports to denounce the violence that is happening on the border. So there are a lot of components that make life as a volunteer quite challenging and stressful. And different studies also show that humanitarian aid workers oftentimes suffer from higher rates of burnout, depression, and other mental health problems. So as an organization, we find it very important to create spaces for our volunteers to sort of prevent mental health problems, but also to have spaces to share, to reflect, and to gain more knowledge on different topics. So that is why we created the so-called Care Department of No Name Kitchen, which I am coordinating in cooperation with Valentina mainly, and with a pool of psychologists and other peer supporters. We have weekly or bi-weekly sessions for all the teams on the ground. So that is a part of the weekly routine of every field on the ground. We offer individual talks for whoever needs it, especially after situations, for example, as a eviction or being controlled by police or getting into really stressful or potentially even traumatizing situations. And we also offer talks for people who are leaving the field. So once you get back to like your normal surrounding, like adjusting back to your mostly European lifestyle can also be quite hard after you've lived a while in this bubble. And I think Valentina and Bruno did a great job at showing how different the situations are that you are faced with on the field. So yeah, that is a big part of what we do as an organization, because obviously we find it very important, and it would be unethical to put people into situations where they are exposed to the things that we've just talked about and the things you've just seen. And I saw a lot of serious faces, so I could already see how it affected most of you just by listening to testimonies of what is going on in the borders. But being in that situation obviously is a completely different thing. And then we also organize workshops on different topics, such as we've had a workshop on self-harm, for example, because lots of people on the move unfortunately also have their own psychological problems, as you can imagine. And in Sheet, for example, we are seeing some cases of self-harm, and just providing some info to people who are not mental health workers, obviously, and who probably have never been in touch or worked with people who are having issues as that, is also a big part of what we are doing. Yeah, so I think that is like a little bit of a background to the care department, and I'll keep it quite short and simple. I think if you have any questions, then feel free to put them in the chat, as well as for all of the other speakers that came before me. And I guess I'll pass the word on to India and Gracie to maybe go more into detail of how challenging life in Sheet can actually be, but it's also super rewarding, and I very much enjoyed my time in Sheet as well, so it's not all bad.
Hello everyone, my name is Gracie. Thank you all for listening to us. We're going to try to keep it brief. I know we're short on time, but I'm currently volunteering here in SHID, and we are a team made up of 5 main focal points: health, violence reporter, communication, admin, and logistics. This structure is the same throughout all locations of No Name Kitchen. I'm currently one of the violence reporters in the field. My role is to collect reports from people on the move that we work with on border violence and illegal pushbacks from the police. These reports are added to the Border Violence Monitoring Network, like Bruno mentioned before. The most common forms of illegal pushbacks the people on the move face are breaking mobile phones, beatings with batons and tree branches, insults, theft or destruction of personal belongings, and prolonged detainment. So we take these reports from the people on the move that we meet, and we submit them for the Border Violence Monitoring Network.
I'm currently the communications focal point. So essentially my aim as this role is to keep people informed and to continue to raise awareness about any injustices, such as this violence, any other attacks to human rights, and any other humanitarian needs that we observe. It's also about keeping in mind that people on the move are all individuals. So sometimes through our social media or other media sources, we can actually offer a platform for people on the move to share their own personal stories. One example is we work with a Spanish team that do a podcast, and often we can, with the consent of the people, we can take those stories, or they are also welcome to speak themselves, and that gets shared on a weekly basis. Maybe actually Bruno could share or someone can share some links to our Facebook and Instagram in the chat, because our internet is very slow, as I'm sure you can tell. Sometimes the text for these posts and recordings we also create as communications by working with the violence reporters. So when I first arrived, actually, we did one about one of the camp evictions, as Valentina was mentioning earlier. These could be quite drastic, and we actually took a report from someone that was there and witnessed what happened. There was a lot of police violence. People were given really kind of no warning to leave the camp, and we created a violence report, and then we were also able to share that as a story so that it kind of holds authorities accountable and it keeps people up to date on actually some of the situations that are happening. One of the really important things for this role is, just to mention quickly, is consent. So it's really, really important that there is always kind of the appropriate use of photos and text in all of these postings, because it's kind of very easy to ask someone if they can take a photo, but it's not always so clear if they are happy for this photo to be shared on social media with certain text or sharing their personal stories. So this is something that's very, very important for No Name Kitchen, which is what I like about this role and one of the values. So it's, yeah, being very clear with people and their intentions, but also creating that space for people to share what they would like to share.
And while we all have our individual focuses, we come together as a team for the daily distributions. We currently have 4 different locations around Shid, where some people on the move who are trying to reach safety in Europe are living outside of the official camps in what is known as the jungle. In these locations, they're mostly from Afghanistan, with a few people from Iran. We visit them on a regular basis, around 2 or 3 times a week, and we are often the only organization working in Shid to help the people on the move living outside of the camps, so they really rely a lot on our distributions. We bring water for drinking and showers, dry food such as pasta and tomato sauce and fresh fruit, hygiene kits, and electric razors. We also have a warehouse here, which means we can take orders for clothes, sleeping bags, and tents. Oftentimes, people arrive in Shid with very little or have their possessions taken by the police when they're pushed back by Croatian authorities. And this happens a lot with the shoes and the tents. So we try to kind of make up for that and give them the items that they're lacking. We also provide a laundry service where we take people's dirty washing and bring it back to them, clean and dry on our next distribution. Here we call this minsal, which is understood in Pashto as washing. One of the important services we also provide is healthcare. We mentioned this previously. We bring a medical bag to each distribution to provide first aid and try to offer some protection to wounds before or after they become infected due to the poor living conditions and extremely long and difficult journey that these people face.
I think Valentina kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, but as well as these regular distributions, we also go to a few other locations. So one of them that we visited recently is an area that's about a 2-hour drive away, and it's near the Bosnian border. And we go there once a month, kind of to keep an eye on the situation and to offer what support that we can, and mainly just to stay connected with people. So we actually also have a hotline, and we can offer some contact for people. Obviously, people are moving around a lot, and it's kind of a good network that if people really need some information or some help, we can do what we can as an organization, find the right information for them, or signpost them to another organization. And this can be really, really useful. We also take, some items. So last week we took some rain jackets because the weather in Shid is completely unpredictable, especially at the moment. So this can be quite helpful. Another distribution we do is locally. So Valentina talked about the Roma family in Toba, but we also work with local families in Shid to kind of keep this local connection, and also really recognizing that it isn't just the people on the move that are in need. There's, for various reasons, there's a lot of local families really, really in need in Shid. So we can provide them with some essential items as well, particularly Roma families who often face a lot of discrimination, really struggle to work. And again, just to keep up this local connection.
We face many challenges throughout our work here, but we'll just mention a few right now. Firstly, the main one that we thought of to share with you is that we work mainly with people from Afghanistan. And I know we talked about it before throughout this meeting already, so we're all kind of aware of the situation there now. And the last few weeks, we have seen sadness, desperation, and fear. And many of the people we meet have family in places such as Kabul, and they are in serious danger. So this is a hard situation for us because it's hard not to feel totally helpless at times, because there's really nothing we can do to take away any of this pain or worry that we see people struggling with, except to listen and continue to do our work. And then another challenge we have is having enough donations to support all the needs. Winter is fast approaching and we're running low on shoes. And if people do not have decent shoes, then it's worsening injuries and infections, especially with the cold and wet weather. The weather itself is also a big challenge. We drive our van filled with water and supplies to hidden locations in order that people we support feel comfortable to meet us and to minimize the risk of police problems as well. But that often means driving on very rural roads that can get muddy in the rain. And actually last night, we had to push our van out of the mud when we got stuck. So we have a few issues with this as well. It's just some of the things we deal with.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of challenges daily. So those are just a couple of things. But at the end of the day, like, we really do have a really super strong team at all times. And the people that we support are really the most incredible, resilient human beings that you could possibly imagine. And as much as the situation can be completely diabolical for them, there's also some really positive moments. I think Bruno mentioned Atan. So yeah, like having shared dinners, dancing the Atan, and playing Uno and chess, especially in the rain. Recently, we've played a lot of chess in the rain, and volleyball, and yeah, just really, really nice moments, as well as all the difficult ones. And also just as an organization, we kind of don't ever feel like there is a hierarchy, which is really, really nice. We all have agency to talk about decisions, make group decisions, but at the same time, we do have 24-hour support, from Marina, from Bruno, from Valentina. Like, no one ever feels kind of alone in this. And it's a really, really great team to work with. We are constantly learning from each other, and especially learning from the people that we support. And we just, keep going, keep smiling. And yeah, big thank you for coming and listening to us. And I will pass you back to Linda.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I don't know about the rest of you, but my head's absolutely buzzing, and it's not just because I've got a cold. What an incredible organisation. I think something that really struck me is the way you are so comprehensive. So, absolutely the kind of on the ground kind of firefighting, right there with people, but then also kind of trying to do strategic stuff, sort of shifting policy, whilst also thinking about your volunteers and providing sort of care and support for them, and then also that element of kind of respect and sort of treating people with dignity. Amazing. So I mean, thank you very much. I'm absolutely learned an awful lot, and I thought I knew a bit about sort of refugees and people on the move, but that's quite incredible. So I guess we've gone over time anyway, and everybody's still here. So does anybody have any questions? I think we've popped them in the chat and they're kind of coming through. Anything, or is everybody just kind of a bit like me, just trying to take it all in? I guess just one thing I was thinking about, you were talking about donations of sort of clothes and shoes and things. I wondered how much you get stuff that's sent over, or how much you prefer to kind of have money that you can then go and spend in the local shops, sort of in a way kind of supporting the local economy. Do you have a kind of policy around that, or it's just you just take what you can, what's on offer, really?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, we are doing all kind of things that you can imagine to bring stuff into the places. So we have a official warehouse in Vicenza in Italy. So from there we can move things to Serbia and Bosnia. Then we have partnerships with with Germany, with different organizations that send things from there. In Spain we have like 2 little spots where we can keep our things as well. And then what we are trying to do as well, what you mentioned, is to support in the local economy, and sometimes when we can ask for funds to support the local economy, we always try to buy locally, you know, but we don't have the resources, of course, to buy always locally. For example, something that is very, very nice, we are ordering now another 300 sleeping bags. We are ordering in Bosnia to a local person that they are local people from Bosnia that they are making them, you know, the sleeping bags. So it is like a very, it's not we are buying in Bosnia but in Decathlon. No, we are buying in Bosnia but to this local person, you know. So them, I mean, yeah, we are trying to do as much as possible. And some donors they give the money just to buy locally. But then of course you can imagine the collection of clothes. You know, when we make collections, maybe you are thinking, okay, maybe we can make a collection of clothes for these people. How messy it is, and people donate things that you cannot imagine. It's like, no, my friend, will you give this to your child? No, don't give it to us. I mean, no.
I can imagine, because I coordinate donations here, and you just think there's stains all over it, there's holes all over it, there's buttons missing, and it's just like, no, where's the respect and where's the dignity here? Yeah, no, absolutely. So suddenly the questions are rushing in thick and fast. Do you have a centre in the UK at all for donations? Is that something you're thinking of, or logistically possible?
Actually, in the UK, we are very close with Choose Love. They are a big organization there, and they are supporting different projects around. And they are one of the main donors that give money to buy locally there. But for example, we don't have any warehouse, you know, or any close partner that they say, okay, we will prepare a truck and then we will send it to you. There is no. We have volunteers from UK. And as well, we are trying to set up different branches, you know, of the Nonin Kitchen, because as there is volunteers from everywhere, there are like powerful places like Barcelona, Berlin, certain amounts of places where there are lots of people. In UK, we are trying to gather this. So if you know about any organizations that you say, oh no, I know these people is sending clothes there, sending clothes to the other place, please link them with us, and that will be as well very grateful. Yeah.
Maybe that's a bit of a project for you, Indy, when you come back.
Can I add something? Sorry, on this matter. Since we are focusing on Serbia, I think it's also very interesting to give an example, also to understand the complication of these logistic movements that we try to organize all around to get NFI, non-food items, into the country, and the reason why we also rely on the local economy. So just to give you an example, for example, in Serbia, in Serbia, new shoes only new shoes can enter the country when they are donated. So this is like all the way around, because usually second-hand shoes are donated. So this is like a big challenge because we can only donate new shoes. So in this case, for example, it really applies the modality of donating money. If it's, a donation is done and it's written shoes for Serbia, for example, we can definitely say, okay, that's budget, it's really related to that. So for example, in places where like in the UK, where we don't have a warehouse, but there is other let's say needs that are actually locally addressed, that's an example. Shoes for Serbia, for example, food everywhere. Of course, we buy food locally most of the time. Sleeping bags in Bosnia, it's another example. So there are possibilities all around.
Yeah, fantastic. So another question, I think you said, I think that something like 98% of the people on the move are from Afghanistan. And one of the questions is, are people aiming to reach a specific country, or they're just trying to get into the EU? Have they, or does that, I guess, vary across people?
When I mentioned the 98%, it was when we came to Belgrade, in the barracks in Belgrade. When we came to this place that it was 1,000 people, that was the place where 98% of them were, from Afghanistan, all of them. Now at this moment, we are having
Oh no, it was all going so well.
Lots of population, and many people that is imagine in our place. Sorry. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, you're sort of going in and out a bit, but yeah.
Okay, no, sorry. Just to come back, that nothing. It's okay. Someone is calling me now, and I got distracted. So.
Okay. And yeah, in terms of where people are aiming for, is there
Oh yeah, sorry. Thanks for the clarification. So yeah, in terms of that, there is, yeah, as I said, a bunch of people. In Ceuta, for example, we have all people coming from the south part, so of Africa, and then many people from Morocco and Algeria, they travel to Turkey, and they do the Balkan route. And we have many people from Morocco and from Algeria that they are trapped in Serbia and Bosnia for so long, and they don't do the other side because their cousins, whatever, they were dying crossing the channel, whatever, and they prefer to fly because they can fly as tourists to Turkey and then do the whole trip from the place, and there is, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Pakistan, all kind. We can say all countries. Valentina, you want to say more countries?
Yes, I want to continue what you're saying because most of the time, people that are traveling, not most of the time, but many times people that are traveling already have family members somewhere else in Europe. So they want to reach them. So, for example, I have a cousin or an aunt in Paris, so I'm trying to reach there. It's also true that on the way, you might change your mind because it's very challenging to get wherever you want to get. Just to give you an example, our focal point in Montenegro is an example. He wanted to reach Germany, but he stayed in Montenegro at the end because he realized that reaching Germany was a little bit more complicated. And while in Montenegro, for example, there were a little number of people asking for asylum, and knowing that he would have, he would have more, lots of opportunity to actually got the protection because he is like a political dissident. He said, okay, I'm staying. I'm not moving. I'm not risking so all the other are going to the same place. I'm staying here and I'm trying my card over in Montenegro. The same a family that I met from Syria. Well, the mother was from Iraq. The rest of the family was from Syria. The same, they wanted to reach Italy because the mother had some connections in Italy through the father. But then it's like a couple of years now that they are staying in Croatia because they said that's it. We are traveling with minors. They have gone through a lot. I remember it was it was April, but it was very cold. And I remember these little boys coming to me. We are very friends. We were going to play all the day in the castle in Velika Kladuša. And some days we were coming and they were getting it as a real game. And maybe they were wearing very winter stuff, and they were running to us and they said, we cannot come to play today because we're going to the game. And it was you're going through the hell and you're just 9 years old. And but anyway, that just to say sometimes their dreams, they come to the reality, and maybe they get tailored.
Okay, gosh, that's quite something. So two just really quick ones, because I think we probably in 2 minutes we should finish. So one quick question: roughly how many people are you able to help sort of over a year? And volunteers, are they self-funding, or are you able to kind of help with living expenses? Just quickly.
On this, actually, I forgot to show you very, very, very quickly. I want to disable to share the screen. Then nothing. You can go to the website in the make a donation section. There is click to download the Reporting Kitchen 2020 in figures. If you go there, you can understand how many people we reached last year, and more or less. Of course, it's different somehow, but it's on the same wave, let's say, no. So more or less. The place where there are more people is definitely Bosnia. Bihać and Velika Kladuša are the two places where we reach around 1,200 people in each place, sometimes less, sometimes more. And in Patras, in Šid, in Ceuta and Podgorica, there are less people, between, let's say, 100 and 400 maximum. All the time. So if you go to the website, you will get these figures. Maybe I can give you here in the help us session. You can actually get the figures more specific.
All the details are in the chat. And just quickly then that last question about volunteers. Are they self-funding, or do you have any funds for volunteers who perhaps can't afford to fund themselves? Is that?
I didn't really get the question. Like, what's the question about volunteering?
Yes, so are living expenses covered for volunteers, or do they need to cover all of that themselves?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I actually wanted to close with that because within the organization, I'm also in charge of supporting new people coming into the organization. So there is a process that people are invited to participate. And Learning Kitchen is providing people with both in-kind support and professional support. Within the in-kind support, we include the house, Wi-Fi, transportation on the field, and what we have called the basket food. That doesn't mean to actually cover the entire diet of the people, but to integrate it pretty well, I hope. And the professional support, which is for us, of course, it's the most important, but I also understand that volunteers, they have to live. So it's supported also the in-kind, but the professional one includes, as Marina said, the care department with psychological support and the legal protection in case of abuse of power by the authorities.
Wow. Goodness, you really have thought of everything, haven't you? It's been an incredible experience listening to you all this evening. So thank you so much. And you know, I'm sure if everybody was in a room, we'd all be doing clapping, but maybe we would do some virtual clapping. I think we need to wrap up now because yeah, time's gone on, and it's an hour later for you as well, isn't it? But yeah, thank you so much. And I hope, you know, obviously now with Indy being part of the two organizations, perhaps we can do more things together over the, you know, in the future, really. So thank you everybody for coming along. Yeah, all right, nice to see you all. All right, bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for the time.
Bye bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.